my head in the mouth of the lion. I can't be. They're meeting in Watford. How sinister can they be? John's in Kingston. John, what would you like to say?
Good morning, James.
Hello.
Yes, the Bilderberg, as you've rightly pointed out, it's been going for nearly 60 years. And you say it's not secretive, but none of us really knew. I've only known about it for the last 10 years. It's been highlighted perhaps for the last 2 or 3. And for the likes of people like Jim Tucker, God rest his soul, who recently died, there would be virtually no light on it.
Who's Jim Tucker?
Well, he's a guy who investigated it many years back, before the time I even heard of it.
No, it's a registered charity. Its charity number is 272706. That doesn't sound that shadowy and secretive to me.
Well, I mean, the point is, if you look at some of the people who've attended there, who've then become Prime Minister exactly 1 year, or President exactly 1 year after attending, just look it up.
Hang on.
Wikipedia.
So who decides the date of the election then?
Well, I mean...
Because you realise that if they're attending it not as Prime Minister, then the date of the election must have been set by the person they beat in a general election. So the person they beat in a general election is part of a secret conspiracy to make the people they stood against Prime Minister, which is why they chose the date. You see how easy it is to pull this stuff apart, John?
I see how easy it is to look at it, and it's so incredible and so unbelievable and so huge that it's hard to take in. As you said, 10 years ago... Yeah, if I'd phoned in to, admittedly it was before your programme, but 10 years ago, if I'd phoned in and said, look, wars were based on plunder, purely resource...
Yeah, but lots of people did believe that.
You wouldn't have agreed with me.
Lots of people did believe that, and I now have evidence that I find compelling. What evidence have you got that this lot are up to no good?
Well, because I believe that they are the puppet masters. They pull the strings for it, especially these resource-based wars. I mean, most of our wars, as far as I'm concerned, unfortunately, our blokes are only sent in there on the basis of obtaining resources for these people we're talking about.
But George Osborne's going, right? George Osborne is due to attend this year, I think.
Yeah.
So he's in on it, is he?
Everybody who's in on it is signing up to, well, for want of a better phrase, this one world order, which seems to be the term used.
When do you get the call then? At what point do I get the call? If I jack this in now and start going into politics, and I join the, I don't know what party I'd join at the moment. Probably still the Labour Party more than any of the others. Until Nige comes around with an irresistible offer for me to be his shadow chancellor. So I join up and I start making some waves. I do all right, get some votes, get a seat in Parliament. I get talked up as a future leader of the party. When do I get the call from the Bilderberg group who make me turn my back on every single thing that drew me into politics and instead throw my lot in with them?
Well, if you had any sort of morals, you probably wouldn't get the call. If they didn't have anything to lean on...
They'll call Ferrari then, won't they?
Sorry?
They'll call Ferrari instead.
Yeah, well, maybe.
No, but the point I'm making is that you're somewhat lazily painting every politician on the planet as being amoral, and I know a lot of people will be nodding and shouting, yes,
exactly.
Hallelujah, John's right, but you can't. I mean, they're all in on it, is what I find hard to swallow.
Not exactly. I mean, let's face it, the world, we know the world runs on money, so some politicians may base it on the fact that they have to bow to these elites, to these people, just to keep the motions of and the wheels turning within Britain, the banking system, the corporation system.
Well, you know, you've done it up to a point, because you can sit here and marvel at what's going on in front of you and think there must be more to it than meets the eye, and then somehow you can, in the same breath, or at least I can, scoff at the people who offer up an explanation, and you're probably right to say that there may be a little bit more to it than that. What about the Watford angle, John? Does that, I mean, what, if it's that big a deal, surely we wouldn't know they were meeting, and they certainly wouldn't be meeting in Watford.
Well, the thing is, the Grove Hotel has quite history. There's several Queen Victoria, various kings. I mean, it was a let-out for, oh, blimey, I forget the king's name now, but Bertie.
Edward VIII. No, Edward VII. No, the Queen's dad. No, the other one. You see? It's happening again. What do you mean? So now the hotel's got... Maybe it's on a ley line, John.
Well, there's certainly an awful lot of history there, believe you me, an awful lot. Even on their own site, they say for 9,000 years people have been dating, mating and eating. Really? Which is quite an incredible claim. Absolutely, the hotel's site state that. Also, if you look at the fact of this Iron Curtain you're talking about, gone round the Grove. I mean, a light needs to be on it. I mean, I think at the moment it's £4 or £5 million. I know it's not a huge sum, but it's still taxpayer money to secure this place.
Yes, it is, but I suppose if you're right, you'd want our politicians to be there, otherwise they might get frozen out of the action.
Yes and no. I mean, I'd rather them be separate to such action and opposing such action, and working on the case of the problems we've got within the country, rather than where else to spend money in fruitless wars.
So, you know, I wonder if the more we talk about it, the less mad it begins to sound, or the more mad. I've got no way of knowing really as the referee. I just sort of, certainly when you look at banking, this increasing suspicion that everything is a sort of glorified Ponzi scheme. You know, twice as many millionaires now than there was a year ago, at a time when the rest of us have been told to tighten our belts. I've always wondered. With these, my boss took me to a meeting of plutocrats once, at one of these clubs that meet at posh hotels, and it was really interesting, but it was also really freakish, because I don't know, when do you get the tap on the shoulder? When does someone say, once you reach a certain level, you either get invited onto Dragon's Den, or you get invited to be a member of the Illuminati or the New World Order? I missed out on a couple of sinister laughs a moment ago. No idea how much trouble I get into for that.